Hello everyone. So my name is Lara and I am an environment artist at Triumph Studios. This video today is going to be a tutorial about making custom regions for Age of Wonders 4. With the release of Giant Kings and Ogre patch, players can now make use of the new region editor. That gives you the possibility to create unique custom regions to add in your game, and you can make your world be more interesting, fun to play and just cooler. So I definitely encourage you to try it and make all the regions that you want. For Giant Kings, we also did the same, so you can find different custom regions while playing, and I hope you enjoy them, and yes, try to spot them. For the tutorial, we are going to make a simple mod where we're going to make a custom region and load it in the game. I'm going to use the Steam version of the game and just launch the Paradox launcher. In the Paradox launcher, you can access the modding tool by going to Game Settings and Open Modding Tools. The Package Manager will be the main tool used for creating and managing mod content, and it is also used to launch other tools such as Resource Editor or Level Editor, which we're going to use today. And if you need more info about modding, then you can always follow the information provided by the official modding guide. To start off, we are going to make a new mod. You can save all the info that you want, and once you have your mod, you can start by opening Level Ed. Alright, so we have opened the level editor and this is how it's going to look like. Don't worry if it just takes a little bit of time to open it. And we need to create a new map. To do so, we go here, either on this icon or File, New Map. Now we have the possibility to create a story region. So we can click on Story Region and let's go and press OK. So here is our map. This is where we're going to paint our regions, and it's gonna be our sandbox where we can paint all the regions that we want. To move around, I am using the middle mouse button, the wheel, to zoom in, and if I click it, I can rotate around. And with W, A, S, D keys, I can also move around. This map that you see in front of you, it's the overworld map, which is different from the underground that we all know. To visualize the underground, we have to go in Selected Level, click on it, and Underground Layer. This is your underground. It's very important that they are two different layers, because the regions that we want to make in the undergrounds need to be painted here, while the regions in the overworld map needs to be painted on the world map layer. The system to make custom regions is quite complex, to be honest, but if we keep to the basics, we can definitely make some cool looking regions. And for today, we're going to make two examples of regions, one in the world map and one in the underground, so we have both cases. First of all, I want to start by creating a sector. Here in this tab, I can press on sector, click anywhere in the map, and on the right I have the possibility now to make new sector. And now we have created our first sector. This is gonna be 7 hexes because that's the minimum requirement, and that's also how big a city is. And you can see here on the right the hex count, it's going to say 7. If we want to edit the sector, we can just press on the sector, and here on the right, edit sector. With the left and with the right click, we can remove them. You can see the count to changing here on the right. We usually want to keep them between something like 15 to 25 hexes, so that they work together well with the rest of the sectors created by the game. And let's go and create our region. To move the center of the region, I can press Shift and left click somewhere else. I always need 7 hexes, so it won't go, for example, here. I'm gonna put it here. Once I'm satisfied with it, I can also change the name of the region. Now it's time to start painting. There's a bit of notes about themes and overlays. As you can see, if we go on the Paint tab in the right, a bunch of themes appears. You can have the list view to have it easy to read. The themes that do not mention underground are themes that needs to be used in the overworld map. It's important that we do not use underground themes in the overworld map and vice versa. We also usually want to try and keep the theme of the region the same, so do not paint multiple themes in one region, so it always helps the game load it better. And you can see there's all these different themes that are the ones we usually see in the game. All the themes, when you click on them, are gonna show a bunch of overlays. Most of the themes share some overlays. For example, grassland is an overlay that you will find in a lot of the themes, or forest. Well, some overlays are unique to the theme. So for example, highlands has snow and Arctic has snow, but temperate or subtropical do not have it. So it kind of depends. For this one, I want to make a sort of snowy region with some ruins. So let's go and choose some of these overlays. I'm going to start with grassland. I can make my brush size bigger. It doesn't matter what I paint outside of the borders. I can select different type. I can select flower fields. Then forest. Maybe some ice or snow. Ruins. This is a new overlay that has been added with the Giant King DLC. Ruins 02 are a bit more packed with ruins. I can also create roads. So if I go in the roads tab and select general road, with the left click I can add roads. This helps the game load the region better and connect it to the rest of the regions better. And with the right click I can remove the roads and repaint them. There are a series of overlays that do not really work anymore, so I would advise to not use them. And these are the mountain cliff overlay, the water lakes, and water stream. You can still create rivers with the water rivers. It's just do not paint water rivers in the center hex of your region, because it will create issues with annexing this sector, as well as mountains. To create mountain, you can go in mountain ridge. If you paint more hexes around each other, you can create bigger mountains. And this as well, to not paint it in the centers. A little hack that we can use to spot our region immediately in the game when we're going to test it is painting the astral void overlay, because it will be shown just as like a black dot in the parchment map, so that we can use it just to see that our setup is going to work fine and we see the region immediately. Now I'm gonna quickly show also how to make an underground region. It sort of works completely the same, it's just that these themes are different. I can go in sector again, click anywhere in the map and create a new sector. This is going to automatically create a new region. Again, I will edit it and add some hexes. Once I'm satisfied with it, I can edit the name. I'm gonna quickly save, because I didn't save this file. I'm going to save it. It's important to save it into your mod folder. And now I can paint my region as well. When it comes to the underground, we have, with the new update, we have splitted the team. Before we had one underground team, now we have different. For example, we can paint underground Arctic or Desolate or Dungeon or just the normal underground, which is the underground team. For this region, I want to make an ice region. Again, let's keep one team in the region and not use multiple. It's also easier if we don't paint all kinds of overlay in one region, but we stick to a few, no more than 5 usually. The most important overlays are bedrock, which is the rocks that are sort of creates all the borders and the edges in the underground. And then for the terrain, the basic terrain is, in this case, ice. Or snow. In the normal underground team, it will be called cavern floor. So it's the one that's already loaded in from the beginning. Another important thing about the walls, usually I do not paint, I prefer to have the game creating all the walls around the region, so I don't really paint them in. But if we want to paint them in, how does it work? Is that this wall should be actually blue because I painted the ice ones. But they get influenced by the hex in front of them and the theme of the hex in front of them. So in this case, this side is getting influenced by the normal dungeon and this side is getting influenced by the snow. So if we want to make walls in a region, let's try to keep them at least 2 hex thickness so that they can be influenced by both teams. If we only have 1 hex, that's gonna be a bit hard for the game and sometimes it can create issues. But for this region, I'm just going to have no walls. Again, it's easier if we paint some water, which is in the water underground overlay, to spot this region in the game for our test, because this shows in the parchment map a bit better. We used to have an underground water team. That was when the underground was not split into different teams, but now we have added the water overlay to all the underground teams, so that's the one we use generally. Once we are done painting our region, it's time to export them. So we go in the region tab here, press on the region that you need to export, and export region. Again, export it in the mod folder. And do the same for all the other regions. Now we can go and open the resource editor to start setting up the regions. We go back to our package manager and if we press refresh, we can see all of our new files popping up. We go in tools and open the resource editor. Once the resource editor is open, we can start and create our new file. Let's save this one. Again in the mod folder, so not where I'm doing it. And the first thing we want to do is load the regions that we have just exported into our pack. To do so, we go in Content, Regions. And then we can press Add. And you see our regions popping up here in the mod folder. We can add the first one and then the second one. And then just press OK. The second thing we want to do is we actually have to link a pack from the title folder. So we go in Content, Resource Packs. Again, we press add. This time we have to go look for the pack into the Steam folder. I saved it here. So in strategic, at this direction, if I just search for sector, RMG sectors strategic. I click on it, open, and then OK. Now that I've linked all the files, I can start making a new category. I could create different categories for all the entries, but for the sake of the video, I'm just gonna do it here so I have everything in one window. And there's some things that we need. First is a region definition. So we're gonna type here region definition and then press new. We need one of these for each of the region that we're going to make. So since I have made 2 regions, I'm gonna copy it and make a new one. Ctrl C, Ctrl V. And I'm gonna call this one Then I need a sector type. RMG sector type definition. And press new. I also need a sector type for the underground, so I'm gonna copy this for now. We are going to fill them up later. And last thing, I need a sector list. So RMG sector definition list. Now we can start setting up some of these entries. So in the sector type, we can make this bigger. For the overworld custom regions, it's gonna be core natural story. Land is fine and this can be empty, it's not important. While for the underground, it's going to be core underground, and the sector type is going to be underground natural story. Land again, save. Now this can be linked in our custom regions, where we have the region definition custom region. So in the region type definition, I can link my category and I can select my sector type. And you can see some extra values get added. What we want to do is link our region to this entry now. So in story region file, we can click on this little square and we're gonna get the regions that we previously loaded. So I'm gonna select the right one and press OK. By using guaranteed spawn, I can put it to true, and I'm gonna be sure that this region will spawn in the game. It's very easy to test it this way. Otherwise, we can use the occurrence weight to, if we have multiple regions, to decide what's the percentage of these regions spawning. I'll do the same for the other region. I'm going to select again my category, the sector type underground, because this is the underground one, and the story region file. And as well, guaranteed spawn. Now we need to link these regions into our sector list. So we go on the sector list, include list, again on the square, and I'm looking for my custom regions. To move them to this one square, I have to double click them. So I'm going to add 1 and 2. And I'm also going to extend the list, sector definition list, sector definition list, all. And this should be all for the basic settings. The last thing we need to do is actually load this pack into our package manager. So we go back to our package manager, we can refresh it and see our RPK file popping up. We need to press on content, resource packs. I'm gonna add my custom region pack. You will have nothing here, and then you're just gonna have to load it. And then save. Alright, so now that I have exported my regions and made my pack and did everything, I can check that it works and it doesn't break. Sometimes it happens to everyone. So I can go in the installed mods, I see my mod, I can create a new playset. And add my mod. Select it, okay. And then we can try it and press play. So the important things when it comes to working with custom regions is that custom regions do not refresh. So whatever change you will make in the resource editor or in the level editor, you always need to create a new game to see the changes. They just don't refresh in a current game that you have open. So let's go and make a new game. Any, just like random one. Alright, to test our regions better, we can use a cheat to reveal the whole parchment map. So with Ctrl-Alt-C, we can open the cheat tab, and we can type in Barent and explores and reveal the entire map. And then press enter. If you look in the parchment map, you should be able to see a black dot where you painted the abyss. And here is our region. Highlands spawns next to Arctic, so sometimes it doesn't load very well. But you can see here's our region with the roads going in. And if we go check in the underground, we can see where there's like a bunch of dots. Here's probably gonna be our region, because that's how water showing up. And here is our underground custom region. So we know now that everything works, and we can go back to our editors and have some more fun with the regions, add structures, and some other cool stuff. So yeah, let's just make it even cooler. Alright, so now I want to work a bit more on my regions and yeah, just add some values to it. First, I want to make it bigger. I'm not just going to edit this sector. I'm going to go add a new one. So I can make new sector, it's gonna create a new region. I will just click with the left button and drag it into my custom region. I'm gonna do the same for a bunch of them. And I'm gonna drop them off in the region. Now I can go and press edit, and with the left click I can just switch between them. And I'm going to add hexes. I'm too close to the border of the map. Alright, now I am going to add some paint to my regions and paint the terrain. So I will go in Highlands, again stick to one team would be better. I'm going back to Highlands, Grassland. Let's give it a paint. To showcase off water, I am going to make one of my sectors being ocean. We use the ocean team to paint water in the world map. You can use water coast, mangrove, sunken ruins overlay. The ocean one, we don't really use it anymore. Since I'm going to make like a sort of forest ruined region, I'm going to use sunken ruins. I'm gonna paint it in this sector. To not have some visual bugs in the water in your game, we paint the water overlay, water team 1 hex further from the border of the region. Otherwise it gets a weird cliff mesh spawning here. Then I can go back to Highlands and paint ruins. If I want to use mountains, I could potentially make this whole sector mountain and then paint the mountains also on the center of the hex, and then make the sector uninhabitable by going here and setting it to true. Or I am not going to paint the mountains on the center, and then I don't need to do that. But I can still have mountains in my region. Alright, when I'm happy with it, I am going to place some structures. Essentially, there's 2 different types of structures. One that can be has to be placed in the center of a region, and the other that do not need to be placed in the center of a region. So the ones that will need to be placed in the center are spawners, so infestations, and wonders. So for example, if in structure, I search for spawner, I can place a ritual spawner. On the water, I could place the water one. If the center of a region is in water, then it can get annexed with a water node. Well, for wonder, I could place some castle ruins maybe, since this is a ruin environment. I could also place city ruins and then have the player going here and be able to build a city from the ruins. To delete a structure, I will just have to go on it and press delete. And then the hex is available again. But now I want my castle ruins. While for structures that do not need to be in the center of a hex, we have, for example, nodes, mana nodes, or iron deposits. There's also magic materials. We also have pickups, which are fun to use. Here on the tab pickup, again, you can use the list view. There's a bunch of pickup. You have guarded and unguarded. If you place a guarded pickup and you have a spawner, it's not gonna be guarded if it's in the same area of the spawner, if it's in the sector that the spawner will take. I'm gonna place a chest and maybe a butterfield remnant. We also have the marker tab. In here, there's not really things that change your region, but mostly where the artists have placed markers for decoration. So for example, you could search for pillars, and then you are able to place some pillars around. So we have loaded props in these markers. You can rotate them by clicking on a marker and selecting different orientations, or pressing R and with the left click dragging. If you don't press right button when you have a marker selected, you're just gonna keep putting it down. So I'm gonna add a bunch of pillars to make these regions feel very ruiny. I could potentially place them in the water as well. But I don't like it. I also have some statues. It's a bit tricky to get the rotating working. Sometimes you have to reselect the marker tab here. And there's also some PFX. For example, mist. You could potentially make your marker as well. And the last thing I wanted to show is sculpting. So if we go in the sculpt tab, we can actually sculpt the terrain. So if we select raise and then click, we could raise the terrain here. We can make the brush size bigger. I would advise to not like go very crazy with it, because it might create some like weird regions, but who cares? Whoop. And then we can press smooth. This is saved on the right mouse button, so you can lower it. Last thing, I want to paint the road better. So I'm going to click on General Road, delete the road I made, and paint a better one. I'm gonna give it a save, and the last thing I wanted to show is about randomizing the team. So if I would just export this region right now, it will just spawn in the highlands and everything will be fine. But there's also an extra thing, which is randomizing the team. We can actually spawn this region into different teams by using this feature. So in the paint tab at the bottom, you can see there is a randomize. If we click on team and start painting, it's important to not paint on the ocean team actually, because that doesn't have a team to randomize with. Then we can just paint on our whole region. If we want to remove it, we have to select none and then remove it. We can also randomize just the overlay, so it's gonna look different, red, or both the overlay and the team. But we mostly use just the team so that it keeps the overlay ID that we painted. And if a team doesn't have a certain type of overlay, it's just gonna swap it to something else. While for the underground, it's important to mention that the randomization of the team is not really supported, so we have to paint different region if we want a different team. And it works sort of the same as the overworld, so I'm just gonna do a quick edit on this. Okay, once I'm happy with it, I am going to paint some of my underground Arctic team. I like the idea of having this little pool. And again, here it works the same with structures and pickups. Something cool we can add in the underground is an underground passage, for example. Which is not a structure that goes in the center of a hex, and then that way you'll know you can actually spawn in here. You can reach this area of the underground. Maybe I'm gonna make a little lake. I'm going to edit it so at the center it's not on water. I'm gonna add some ghost, because why not? Can add some extra roads. And once I'm happy, I will export the region. Now I'll go back in the game to edit some stuff in the pack to make the randomization of our first region work. We are back in our pack in the resource editor, and we are going to edit the custom region that we want the team to swap. So we have to go in the region definition of this one region and go in the team filter. In here you can right click, new, and add. For example, Arctic. Could even be subtropical, temperate. Do not add any underground. Of course, islands, since it's the one I painted. And I'm happy with this. If we add the ocean tag, it's gonna know that there's water in this region. So for example, it won't spawn in a scorched climate when we choose it as realm trait. At the same time, if this region only has Arctic and highlands, these are not here, it will also not spawn in a scorched climate because you don't really have Arctic or highland team there. So these settings also works as conditions. And so now we're telling the system to that it's able to swap between these climates. Another thing worth mentioning is if we have done some sculpting of the terrain in our region, we might want to change the height distribution. So in here you can see we have it on fixed, and mostly fixed is gonna just use the height that we have set on the level editor. If we put it on automatic, it's gonna be completely controlled by the game, and adaptive is gonna go sort of both ways, gonna take a mix of them. I think automatic should work, but maybe since I sculpted it a little bit, I'm gonna keep it on adaptive. For the underground region, not gonna do much, I'm just gonna add I'm gonna tell the system that this is an underground Arctic. It's underground ice. And one last thing I wanted to show, I'm not gonna use it, but I believe it's nice to know. We have a placement setting, entry, so RMG sector definition placement settings. And this can help you also to place regions in a certain spot on the map. If we click here, we could potentially add something like a pole value. So it's gonna target the pole. We can put the distance very close, like 5. And you can see here it's gonna give you some information. If you could target the top of the map or the bottom of the map, and you can use this value to place regions in a specific area. At the same time, for example, if you have made a sector, a region that's, for example, an island in the ocean, you could use this to also place it by in the ocean by targeting a sector. So you could target a sector type. And then select sector type, fill. There should be ocean. water uninhabitable. And this would help you, for example, to place a region in the sea. So yeah, there's a bunch of possibilities with the placement settings. And then once you have made them, yes, I don't need them, you can link them in the region placement settings. Now I just want to test my regions spawning, so I'm gonna go and test it in the game. I'm back in the game and I made a new game so that I can see the changes I've made to the regions because they won't refresh. I'm gonna use the cheat again. Barents. Sorry for my bad Dutch. Alright, and I already see a spot with a lake here in the map. And here is my region. So you can see it spawned on the temperate climate, which is different from the one I paint, so the randomization is working. The water actually got connected with some river, so it's kind of cool. And it also kept a bit of the sculpting I did, and also edited it a bit to match with the rest of the regions around. So yeah, I can see it's working. Let's see if the underground is working. I see a little lake here. Oh yeah, here's my region. So the underground one is also working, and I have my region here. The roads didn't really connect to other roads, but that sometimes happens, especially in the underground. And here's my underground passage that leads to the overworld. So that's it for this tutorial, and I hope the modders can enjoy these tools and try it out. There's a lot of fun to have with, some patience, but I think it's gonna be nice to try it out. And for Giant Kings, we have already implemented a bunch of regions. So let's see if I spawned some of them in this game. They will just spawn randomly, so every session you get a different one. But I know some, so I can recognize them. For example, this is a custom region in the Arctic with a cool cliff and some pillars and the new ruin overlay. A sort of desert fortress. Oh, I see some ruins. This is also a custom region with rivers and a wonder. Another custom region with a wonder and sort of spiral labyrinth tree. And the underground has its own regions as well. So here's, for example, is a very funny to traverse region because it has water and a lot of land with some statues around. There's also dungeon regions for the underground where we use the new dungeon theme for the underground, and here you're gonna get some cool dungeon maps to fight on. This is a cool landmark. We have also added a landmark region, so this is created as a custom regions, and then we added a landmark structure. And yeah, so that's it for this tutorial, and thanks for listening till here. Hope you enjoyed it, and see you the next time. Bye!